Kakadosh Boker Tov, we're just continuing with halachot. If somebody is going to be put into a situation where a woman will come and she will extend her hand to shake your hand, whether it is we're talking about a Baal Teshuvah in a family, or we're talking about other scenarios also where they come and it presents themselves. So therefore he says over here that it is prohibited to shake her hand, which means that even though if it could be that it will cause her to be embarrassed, but what you have to do is you have to explain to her nicely that according to the Torah Kedosha, you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to shake her hand. Now, if it's in a situation where you already know that it's bound to happen, so he says, for example, family reunions or other things like that, so therefore he says you should always have a cup of wine in your hand or a cup of something in your hand, and in the other hand you should have another bottle or something. So therefore if somebody comes and they want to shake your hand, listen, my hands are busy, right? I can't actually come and I can't shake your hand. Other people, they come, they'll take out a business card, they'll give them the business card instead of giving them their hand. Other people, there's many different ways of getting out of it. Now the thing is though, that how do we know what exactly does this come from? So it's very famous, a machloket in Hilchot Nida between the Rambam and the Ramban. There's a famous machloket between them to do with Negiya B'isha lo l'shem ana'ah, which means if you're going to touch a woman not because you're benefiting from it, but it's just you're touching her, right? So therefore, is that an Isur Mina Torah? And therefore you're chayav la'arog ve'al yavor, which means that you at the end of the day you have to let yourself be killed or not, right? But according to everybody, there's an Isur. The only question is you have to give up your life. So we know that the Rambam, right, what Rambam actually holds that it's yareg ve'al yavor, which means it's avizra'u de geluriyot, and that's why also the Chazon Ish used to say the same thing, that he says that at the end of the day you have to give up your life for this. So how could you actually even come and think, right, of using a leniency? However, though, according to everybody, it's still a sur. It's also brought down in the Shut Yefei Mareh. The same thing, he comes and he says, you're not going to start suspecting to Chilul Hashem or other things, because we've never found in the Torah, right, that at the end of the day you're going to permit doing an Averah because you don't want to do a Chilul Hashem in their eyes. The opposite. He says it's going to be a Kiddush Hashem that you are actually doing this. The same thing is brought down in Mishneh Halachot. He says also the same thing, that we've never found because, right, that we're going because of embarrassment, you're not going to do a Vizrayu Darayot. He says also, we've never found such a thing. And it's also brought down in Shut Yaskil Avdi also, that we don't have to actually come, right, and suspect to the people that they say because of embarrassment, because usually it's derech hibah. The Shut Ben Moshe brings down the same thing, that we don't even need ra'ayot, we don't need proofs, because it's Isur Gamur, whether it's for the man or for the woman, whether it's for a Jew to a Jew to a Goy, Goy to the Jew, doesn't matter what the case is, right? In all these cases, it's going to be prohibited, right? The Sefer Otzar Dinim La'isha, there's Rav Yitzchak Yosef, he brings down a story with Rav Ovadia Yosef, alav shalom, that he says that he comes and he said like this. He said when Rav Ovadia Yosef won the prize, this is the Israeli Nobel Prize for writing the Yabia Omer, he went up on the stage and the prime minister at the time was Golda Meir. So she came and she stuck out her hand to shake his hand. You know, Chazak Baruch does it say that, you know, he accepted the prize. So what he did is that he bowed his head, right, in Anava, he bowed to her, but he did not shake her hands. And therefore he says, Kazeh Ra'eh V'Kadesh. When Yitzchak Yosef was here, he was speaking to the Rabbanim, he actually came to us and he says, even though over there, he said as a joke, he said there's a lot of tzadim la'akel, right? Number one, she was a zekena, she was an elderly woman. Number two, she was ugly. And now, you know, he started saying like as a joke, he said, look how many things. He says, still, at the end of the day, if the halacha is the halacha, this is what you're supposed to do, and therefore you're not supposed to come and try to look for different places. Some people do bring a re'ayah from Moshe Feinstein, but if you actually look, there's two different tshuvot of Moshe Feinstein, and there he's actually asking on the people that are lenient. He says, I don't even know hayeter, which means that they do not have it, especially for Sfaradim. The Maran is posek in Siman Kuf Tzadikei like the Rambam, it's even worse, because that means it's mamash yareg val yavor, which means you would have to give up your life and not do it. So therefore, it's very, very important just for us to understand that according to the halacha, it is prohibited for us to come and to shake hands with women, and this just teaches us the gravity of the sin. But some people think, what's the big deal? What's this? What's that? There's no difference. Especially if she's an idah, then it makes it worse. She's a shetish, even worse. It continues going that if she's married or things like that, it makes things much, much worse. I'll finish off with what happened. I still remember they told me that in Gibraltar there was somebody, an Israeli, that he came and he knocked on the door, right, of the house of the rabbi. So the Rabbanit opened up the door. So he comes and he sticks out his hand. So she went and she told him in Hebrew, Slicha, I don't shake hands with men. Now usually if you're talking about with an Israeli to Israeli, you're going to get it on the head. But this time, he went and he said, I respect that. So now she's all of a sudden, what does that mean, you respect that? So, okay, but obviously something's behind that. So he went and he said that his wife, actually Bagdabosh, his wife betrayed him because of a handshake. She says, what does that mean? He says, what? You think that it only starts with a handshake? It starts with a handshake, then it becomes much friendlier, they continue going, until finally they will come and they will do averot. So therefore it's very, very important to remember that it is actually going to be prohibited. I remember asking Rav Benai many, many years ago to do with a goya, because there technically you don't have the problem of nidah. There's still nashgaz, which is a gizera and the chachamim. So he went and he said, even if we would come and we would try to find all the terim in the world, he says, I would never permit it nowadays anyways, because nowadays they're parutz ba'arayot. Which means, even if you're going to tell me the olden days, a woman comes, right, a goya, she comes, she's going to stick out the hand to you. She has no maybe intention of everything. He says, since nowadays there's so much illicit relation, there's so much promiscuity, there's so much immorality, so therefore he says for sure there's nothing what to be matid in order to come and to shake hands, right, with any other woman whatsoever. Have a wonderful day.